Well, how do you do, fam? I'm your man, SteubeMan, and today I'm nervous about live streaming. So I figured I would make a video about why I'm nervous to be live streaming. And in the back of my mind, I can't escape the idea that this idea is terrible. It's stupid. What am I doing? If I want to live stream, why don't I just live stream? Well, where do I begin? Isn't that always a problem? Where do I start? Where do I begin? In my mind, I have a picture of what I want to do in the live stream. I have this picture of starting off with a good old Super Nintendo game. In the beginning, I imagine there being a beginning of stream arcade kind of thing, a la a certain streamer. But anyway, like an arcade kind of vibe where... So basically, I got this idea from last month. I was playing Contra 3, I think. It's on the Super Nintendo Mini. And I was trying to see how far I could go. Because I don't know if you've ever played all these old games before, but they're freaking hard compared... Like, they're unforgiving. And it's immediately... The first level, they're unforgiving. Yeah, game journalists would not be wanting to play these games. Anyway, that's a me. So, so I figured it would be cool if every day I started a stream, because... Well, even right there. See, this is how my mind works, and there's another reason why I'm nervous about live streaming. I just had two different thoughts. But I will stick to the first one. So the first one is this Contra idea that I thought about last month, a long time ago. That's because I've been thinking about live streaming for a very long time. But anyway, I thought it would be cool if I started every stream with a round or a session of Contra. And eventually the goal would be to see if I can make it to the end of the game in a single playthrough without hitting the game over screen. Basically, start the stream, start Contra, play all the way to the game over. If I don't beat the game, whatever, then I'm just going to start it on the next stream. And then every stream would start with Contra until I can finally get through the entire game in one playthrough, you could say. I thought that would be cool because you could see the progress that I'm making in the game. You could see how my skills are improving, that kind of thing. I don't know. I thought that would be interesting content. And so phase one is complete. That's kind of how I want to start the stream. All right. So what would I do after that? Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do after that. Just to kind of circle back to the original little intrusive thought that I had was that when I said that I was thinking last month about doing this kind of live stream thing, Contra start kind of thing, whatever, that's because I've been thinking about, I don't know if I've been planning exactly, but the idea of getting back into live stream has been on my mind for the last 2-3 years. Something happened to me. And where 5 years ago, 2018, well, crap, that's 6 years ago. What am I saying? I knew what I wanted to do. I just wanted to boot up my Nintendo Switch and play Splatoon 2. You know, I knew that's what I wanted to do. It was easy. It was easy. Nowadays, I think, okay, well, I got the first part, but then what am I going to do after that? Because I realized that what was so easy before is much harder now, because now I'm trying to think ahead a little bit more. I'm trying to think ahead about how am I going to tie this all into my novel. That is the promotion of my novel, which is the whole point of me really trying to do social media. And then I wondered to myself, is my novel really the only point that I have to starting live streaming again? And so that's where I start getting perplexed. I start getting confused, all the conflicting thoughts. This is why if you go on too long like that, you kind of get paralyzed. And yeah, so that's kind of why it's been on the back burner for so long. While playing Monster Hunter for so long, while I was having a great time, I was having a difficult time figuring out a way that I was going to segue from Monster Hunter over to my novel, because honestly, my channel wasn't taking off playing Monster Hunter. It was doing okay from scratch, I guess you could say, but nonetheless, there was a ceiling. And so, and what made me mad was that I started with Monster Hunter and stuff like that, which I wanted to, but I failed in making that transition to talking about my novel, which is what I wanted to talk about. And the reason why, and this is what part of me feels ashamed about. I don't know why I should feel ashamed about this, but I need to make money. I want to make money. Now, I've thought about I've thought about this for a while, and over the years, dang, I feel just even ashamed talking about this. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I just do. It, and I guess the reason why I feel ashamed is because it feels all kind of cheap. You know, I feel like a faker. Basically, I feel like a fake person. I feel like, what right do I have to think of myself as someone who can write for a living and not do real work? And I don't even mean to throw shade on anybody who gets away with that. And in fact, the fact that I have to say gets away with that kind of lifestyle, writing and getting paid for it, I mean, oh, this is part of the whole point of the reason why I'm writing a novel in the first place about this, you know? What I'm trying, I'm all over the place. I'm really sorry about that, but I guess what I want to say is live streaming, social media, promotion of a novel, that is actually not easy. It's a lot of work. And I don't know why I thought it could be easy. If I just play video games, eventually it would happen. No, it's I learned firsthand that no, that's not how it is. And I'm sorry if I just crush your dreams. But the people who do play video games for a living and are good at it, it seems to me that they have a lot of skill in it. They're either super entertaining right off the bat, and they're also really good looking most of the time. And if they're not good looking, they have a super amazing skill at whatever game they're playing. You know, there's a lot of, you know, being timing, catching a trend, stuff like that, which really speaks to, you have to really know how to use the social media algorithm of whatever website that you're on, all right? The algorithm. Nonetheless, in any of those scenarios, it is a mistake to think that it's easy to do this. You have to have a part-time job until you can make those things happen. And I did. I had a part-time job. Unfortunately, I don't have a part-time job. I lost my part-time job. And I didn't plan. I don't have a backup. So far, I'm gonna have to go look for a new job. And that's why I guess I feel so embarrassed. That's why I feel, how do you say, I'm a failure in a certain sense. I failed to transition from just having a part-time job to this social media gig promoting a novel. Anyway, you got to make money somehow. So I wanted to be able to write my novel, promote it on social media, and make money through self-promotion, you could say. I just don't think I have the appropriate understanding of what that is. And I think because I know that I don't have the appropriate understanding of how that's supposed to work, that's why I'm paralyzed, and that's why I'm nervous about live streaming tonight. This video is all over the place, but I'm hoping that by the end of it, I can just come to some kind of idea, some kind of conclusion, some kind of right frame of mind, some kind of right perception. And this is why this is like a dangerous, dumb video to make, because this video is the epitome of inaction. This video is not me moving into the direction of live streaming. This video is stalling. This is a stall tactic. I don't know what I'm hoping to achieve. Why should I even put this video on YouTube? It's kind of ridiculous. Me making this video is not demonstrating that I am a man of action. It's basically what I want to say and what I also want to acknowledge. Is acknowledging this in front of you, the viewer, dear viewer, is this a step towards action? Well, I'm making a video and I'm putting it out so that other people can see. I'm kind of putting it out into the world. I guess part of me hopes that some of you will relate to this. And I hope that you can relate to this because I want you to see what I'm going to do next. And if I can do something after this video, if I can somehow move in the direction of action, I can show that it is possible for you too. So, on the one hand, you see that you can't just think about doing something, you actually have to act. You actually have to do it. And the other thing is, what does that transition, What does that trans... Oh my god, trans. What does that transition... Oh, transition. Oh my god. What does the transition from inaction to action look like? It looks like this. How can you articulate that? I don't know. It looks like this. You just decide to put all of this doubt, all of this fear, you just put it aside and you act. And you have to act with intention, but also with the understanding that you're probably not going to get it right, but that on the fly, in the moment of action, there's a sort of improvisation, where you're going to make it as you go along. You can't have the perfect plan beforehand. I mean, maybe you're a good planner and it works for you. But even if you have a perfect plan, I don't imagine that everything goes according to plan. Maybe if you're really skilled, easy things do, but there's always going to be something that doesn't go to plan. Because when you finally take that risk out there, there are so many variables to account for that you simply cannot account for in a plan. I guess at the heart of it, I'm not really a man of action. I am a man of reflection. That is what I am. Unfortunately, I'm a man of contemplation. I live in my head quite a bit. How does such a person survive in this world? What the fuck? How does such a person survive in this world? Well, such a person as myself does not survive in this world like that unless you want to compartmentalize that aspect of yourself. And that is what I did in my former part-time job, that maybe if I was to be a successful compartmentalizer, it's not a real word, I know. If I was successful at compartmentalizing the contemplative aspect of my nature, I probably would have been very successful in my part-time job. My part-time job would have been my full-time job, and I would have been showing other people that I can perform according to the expectations of the corporation. What am I talking about? Well, simply to say that I got fired from my part-time job because I finally reached that point where I was just not going to put up with it anymore. I was not going to put up with all the bullshit of other people who are my superiors, who cannot function. Either they're failing at compartmentalizing, but obviously they were successful enough to get to that position, unlike me, so credit to them in that regard. But unfortunately, even they can't compartmentalize properly, and so they tune out. They rest in their laurels of having been my store manager, for instance, my supervisor in whatever regard. And because they tune out and they leave it up to all their subordinates to kind of run everything, well, when you let your subordinates run everything, they're going to get used to doing things a certain way. When you're faced, and this is something I've learned, this is why I'm thankful for my part-time job. I'm thankful because I learned what it means to be a person of action. You just got to keep pushing forward despite the failures, despite feeling like a failure. You got to push forward and figure out, how am I going to make this work? The best part about my part-time job was the customers. That's what I actually loved about my part-time job. I actually loved it, and I'm going to miss that part. When you suddenly get forced from your part-time job and you can't meet with your customers like you did on an everyday basis. Even though it was, I don't know what you want to say, a construct, this interface between the store associate and the customer. Even though that was a structured thing, it allowed for me to actually meet with real people, and I'm thankful for that. I don't know why I'm crying over this, but I'm going to try to make it through. There's so many faces that I've seen every day, year on end, that I can't see anymore. That's the sad part. The other sad part is that despite knowing that eventually I knew my limitations, and I knew that my time at that job was coming to an end. For at least 2 years before it finally ended. At least 2 years, if not more. And especially the last few months, I knew my time was coming to an end. 9 years. Yes. My time at that job was coming to an end. I felt it. I knew it. And my fault is that I did not prepare for it. Despite knowing it was happening. I didn't prepare for it. I didn't do what I knew I should have done. I didn't resume writing my novel. I didn't resume the social media stuff. I failed in making the transition from one thing to another. I hit the ceiling. I hit the capacity and what that part-time job was able to offer me. And unfortunately, despite having ample time to make the transition, I didn't do it. So, now that I have lots of free time, now that I have nothing to do, at least for a couple months, because at least I have a little bit of savings, at least I can make it a few months before I am forced to find another job, I finally decided, you know what, I might as well just throw it out there. Despite my unpreparedness, I'm just gonna go forward anyway. I don't know what's gonna happen. And I'm probably gonna fail yet again. But in some way, in the moment, knowing that failure is definitely the highest possibility, I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna fail again. And again. And again. And again. Who cares? Let me push forward with an imperfect plan. So what? Who are you to judge? And who am I to judge? If the fear of being judged is what's going to keep me inactive, I got to push on beyond that. I got to push beyond that. I apologize for not being as composed as I ought to be in a public scenario like this. I'm thinking of all those other videos that I've seen online on YouTube where people talk about their failures, and I would look at them and I would judge them. And I would say the reason why you're making this video is because you're not acting. Lo and behold, here I am, making the very same video. I am thoroughly aware that from a certain perspective, this is so cringeworthy. Like I said earlier, I'm very aware that this, in of itself, is a form of stalling. But you know what? This stalling tactic is also my action. I'm recording it. I'm throwing it back out there. I'm volleying this back to the world. You have to go back and send those volleys back out. I imagine it like a tennis match. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I like tennis. I got to volley it back out. Here is my return volley world. I will see you in the next video, or hopefully in the next live stream. Peace out.